So in this video we're going to learn how to crochet. It's been slowed down so that it's hopefully easy to follow. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about our yarn cake. So here we have a yarn cake. We're going to grab our end that is coming from the center of the yarn. Okay, that's the yarn that we work with. We don't work from that end that you see on the right that is wrapped around the yarn. Okay, that'll just create a knot. If you bought your own yarn, then you have a yarn skein like this one, which should be 100% acrylic yarn is the type of yarn that we're working with. We also don't pull from the side on this one. We also pull from the center of the skein. Okay. So that is the tail end that we are working with, always from the center. It pulls out nice and easy, and it doesn't create a knot at the end. I'm going to grab the yarn cake because that's what most of us are working from. That's what I've prepared for you. And let's go ahead and start our slip knot. So I lay my palm down flat. I take what is called the tail end, the end that is cut off, versus the working end is the end that is connected to the yarn still. Okay, so I'm going to take the tail end and lay it across my palm in between my thumb and my index finger. I'm then going to wrap the working yarn around my hand and take that working yarn towards my wrist. I lay my hand flat and I take my ring finger or index finger and my thumb, and I pull a loop from the working yarn under that first wrap. After that, I can take my hands out, grab the tail end, and pull the loop and the tail end away from each other. Okay, that's how we create a slip knot. To undo the slip knot, we grab both the working end and the tail end, and we pull them in opposite directions. We're going to lay the tail end over our palm, in between our index finger and thumb, and wrap the working end around our palm. We're going to lay it across our wrist, and we're going to go with our index finger and thumb and pinch out a loop from underneath. Take our hand out, pull the tail and the loop away from each other. This is what it should look like if you're doing it without thinking about it quickly after you get the motion done. I messed up there, but this is what I'm talking about. Should be near automatic. Okay. We'll then insert our crochet hook into that even part of the crochet hook. We'll grab our tail end and our working end and we'll pull them away from each other until they're tight enough on our crochet hook. We don't want it at the part that dips down for our thumb to rest in, and we don't want it at the top where it dips down for the hook. We're going to lay our crochet hook down and we have our working yarn straight across from it and our tail end diagonally down. We put our index finger on the yarn and we take our working yarn in between our middle and middle and index finger. Just like that. So it goes over our index finger. We grab our tail end with our other fingers and we insert our thumb in the space in between. We wrap our crochet hook underneath the yarn, putting the yarn on top, just like this. So let's do that again. I'm going to lay my crochet hook down, the working end goes straight out, the tail end diagonally down, and I grab my crochet hook and put my index finger on the yarn on the hook. I wrap the working end over my index finger underneath my middle finger, and I grip the tail end with the remaining fingers. I insert my thumb to separate the two. I take my crochet hook underneath so that the yarn is now over the top of my crochet hook, and then I'm going to pinch with my middle finger and my thumb on that tail end as close to the hook as I can. Okay? I didn't explain what I was doing there, so I'm going to explain it again. I'm going to wrap around from underneath. I'm going to pinch with the middle finger and my thumb, and then I'm going to slide up with the hand that's holding the yarn so that the top working yarn gets caught by the hook. I then slide up the second part, the second loop, and there's a little gap right there where my finger is pointing. The top of the hook needs to twist into that gap so that it removes from the hook. So we wrap the yarn around. Lost my grip there. Going to go back in, grab it in between my middle and index finger, grab the tail end, space them out, wrap it around, pinch the yarn that I'm working at, and then I'm going to pull up so I can twist into that small gap created right there. I continue to do this, and this is now called a chain stitch. So I'm doing a chain stitch. To undo a chain stitch, you do the same that you do for a slip knot. You grab the working end and the tail end and you pull them in opposite directions and it'll undo from each other. I'm releasing the tension in between my middle and index finger as I need more yarn, as you can see me doing there. So as I'm crocheting, I release the tension to pull some more yarn up, and then I tighten the tension when I pull the stitch through. So I'm undoing and doing that over and again. Here I'm going to pull the two ends to remove it, and then I'm going to show you guys one more time. We lay our tail end over in between our thumb and index finger, We wrap around with the working yarn, take it towards a wrist, and pinch the working yarn into a loop under that loop. We pull our tail end and a loop away from each other. We insert our crochet hook, pull our two ends away from each other until it's tight on our crochet hook. We then get our working yarn in between our middle and ring finger, or index finger, I'm sorry. We grip the tail end with the remaining fingers and insert a thumb to separate. We wrap our yarn around, and then we pull tension in between our middle and thumb, pinching, to go into that hole that we are creating. So that is our first step.